Make your day richer than it was before. Got some good times knocking upon your front door.
Welcome everyone to week 40 of Make Your Day Richer. Can you believe that? We've been doing this 5 days a week for 40 weeks. Is 40 weeks, is that how long women are pregnant for, right? 40 weeks. We've birthed a beautiful baby called Make Your Day Richer. And let's take a look at how big she has gotten, shall we? Let's see how many views and downloads we're up to in this 40 weeks. 266,735. We like exact numbers around here since we have started last June in 40 weeks. I guess 39. This is the beginning of week 40. 266,000. Thank you everyone who watches this show, who shares the show, who likes it, who does all the things. And now is a good time to do that. So if you're just sitting there watching or listening, just share the show. And let's get to 267 by tomorrow, shall we? Thank you. And it's because of amazing guests that we have, like our number one most viewed show last week, Victory Laps and Curtain Calls with Nina and Edward. Go take a look at that show wherever you're watching this one or listening to this one. It was our number one most viewed show. That show, thanks to LinkedIn. Sometimes LinkedIn just like overpowers all of the other things. That show has like 20,000 views last week, and most of them come from LinkedIn. Sometimes LinkedIn really loves us. I don't know why. Okay, outside of Make Your Day Richer, did you know that I host other podcasts, but I help other people with their podcasts and their live streams. And Before You Go is a weekly podcast from Abode, which is a nonprofit in San Antonio. They're an amazing organization that helps people in the last few months of their lives. It's actually a home that they have where you can go and die with dignity there, get all prepared for that. It's a beautiful, beautiful podcast that you learn, you laugh, you cry, you do all the things on this podcast. And they have a new episode that comes out today. It's available wherever you get them, even on YouTube. Here's a clip.
And that one purpose is just providing comfort to another person, however that may be. That may be physical comfort, like actually helping them just with comfort measures, but it can also be sort of like the spiritual, emotional side of it as well. And for me, there's something so sacred about sharing space with others, not just physically, but also spiritually and emotionally. And the fact that we all show up with open hearts and open minds to serve others around us means that the interactions are always super awesome, and I get to learn so much and I get to experience so much that I can't help selfishly but to come back for more. It really fills up your cup and you learn a lot, and it's just really, really great.
The podcast is called Before You Go. You can go to abodehome.org to learn more about what Abode is doing and listen to their podcast. And if you need help with your podcast, send me an email at makeyourdayrricher@gmail.com and we can get you hooked up. Okay, I think that is it. If you are in my one last thing, I actually left the house this weekend, went to brunch with some friends at VG's or Veggies? VG's. I'm going to say VG's in Waxhaw. So if you need good food and you're in the Waxhaw, North Carolina area, go to VG's, would you? Tell them I sent you. Okay, let's begin because we have a really, really good show. My first guest is a filmmaker whose journey has been nothing short of extraordinary. From a sheep farm in North Carolina to producing films in Cannes and Sundance, her career is a testament to perseverance and artistic passion. She recently wrote, directed, produced, edited, and starred in her new film, You and I. And she's right here, sitting right here. So please welcome Summer Shelton. Shelton, what a fun. Do you have siblings?
I had siblings, yeah. So it's just me now. So I'm an only child, I guess you can say now.
Do they have fun names?
They did, yeah. Chessie, that was a cool name, Chess.
Wow.
So that was my brother. And Summer, everyone always asks, like, oh, are your parents hippies? And I'm like, no, I was actually, my namesake is a 1970s beauty queen named Summer Bartholomew.
Excuse me.
I know, because she had dark black hair and super fair skin, and she went on to either be in Miss USA or something. And my mom remembered her and thought, oh, this woman's so beautiful. And when I was born, I had dark hair and super fair skin. So funny you should say that, because my name was either going to be Summer or Sarah, which is why I named my character Sarah in You and I.
And then you ended up with red hair and not dark hair.
Well, anyone can for and for $9.99.
Okay, well, I thought it was real.
L'Oreal 6R. That's my
new sponsor. Thank you very much.
Yes, 6R's the win. I no matter what, you get either L'Oreal or Clairol 6R score. So
How long have you had red hair?
I think about 8-ish years, maybe, or so. Yeah. And sometimes I actually recently thought about, you know what, I'm just going to go back to natural, like would be like brown, like dark brown. So I thought maybe I'll just do that. But then I'm like, now I'm redhead. People know me as like, oh, that redhead Southern girl, the redhead. I'm like, well, crap. I don't know that I can do that now.
Typecast yourself.
I have, which that's okay. I'm happy to be a redhead. You can.
I used to. I've had purple hair. My grandma's a redhead, like a natural.
Oh, wow. I know a lot of grandmas go red sometimes, but it's interesting. She's natural.
Yes. I mean, not really natural anymore. She also every other week dyes her hair, but yeah, I always wanted it. I have cousins who have red hair. I've always been jealous of it.
I like it. You know, it feels natural to me. Like, I feel like, okay, it seems plausible.
It goes with your skin tone.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that.
I have green eyes.
Yeah,
so, like,
works.
Okay. So, you know.
And it's not
Here
like
it is.
red.
No,
so
it's
it doesn't look fake.
I feel like, what is the actual name of the the boxes have colors. It's like it's not strawberry blonde, it's a little bit darker, so it's like I don't know, like maybe light auburn or something. So auburn, fancy word.
Shout out to L'Oreal.
I know, give me a call.
Yeah.
Superior preference, to be exact.
Well, excuse me. Yes.
I bought this for so many years. I'm like, I know it by heart.
But you get my grandma does like the coupons, and then she bulk buys from
See,
Walmart.
I don't bulk buy. I'm a little nervous to bulk buy on hair color. Maybe that's just my ignorance, but I'm like, I want to go and know that I'm getting it and it's not been there that long and the chemicals are going to do what they're supposed to do. And I come home. But when you think about it, like, they're probably shelf stable for a long time when you think about what they actually do.
And it's not like they're making it fresh in the back.
No. I mean, that's when you splurge and go to the fancy beauty parlor and you can watch them do it and smell it, and it's beautiful and everything. So.
My mom was a hairdresser.
Oh, really? Okay.
Is a hairstylist, a cosmetologist. I don't know what they're called now. And that perm solution. So nostalgic to me. I love it. That's not why you're here, though. No,
but that's okay. I did my hair and makeup and everything else. So.
Well, I appreciate it. We're here to talk about your film.
Yeah.
You and I. When did you fall in love with filmmaking? Was it movies first?
I started like in theater, and with movies, I didn't really know how to be a part of filmmaking. I didn't grow up around any filmmakers, and it wasn't really part of like the idea that you could make films for a living. And I thought, oh, to make movies, you just got to be in them. So I didn't know anything about behind the scenes. So not until I was like 26 years old, I decided to go to, after I'd got my safety degrees, got my master's degree, all that fun stuff. I went to film school for 1 year in North Carolina. And that's where I learned like what the actual jobs were. And it's during that year, a filmmaker came back to his hometown in Winston-Salem to make his third feature film. And he needed a right hand. So I went to work with him and stayed working with him. And, he kind of became my film school. Yeah.
What would you, so I want to read everything she did on her film. You were writer, director, producer, star, editor.
Yes.
When people go, what do you do for a living? How do you describe it?
That's a good question. Most people know me as a producer. That's how I built my career for 15 years producing. But I just say I'm a filmmaker because most of the time I find that people don't really understand what a producer does anyway, which is, another big complicated thing in
That was
our
gonna be my
industry.
question is,
Yes, like what
yes,
do
yeah.
they do? I mean, they do everything. They're like from, reading something and saying like, "Ooh, this should be made into a film," or watching a short film and saying like, "Ooh, I want to that should be more," or "I'm curious of what this filmmaker has to say." Like it's almost like you're a talent scout. The way I describe it to people is like I feel like I just run startup companies. It's like you see someone that has an idea and they want to turn it into a product, and then you got to sell it. It's like you do the same thing when you make a movie. You have an idea, you got to put all the pieces together, raise the money, hire the crew, oversee it all, everything. And then once it's done, you have to sell it. So as a producer, I could be on projects anywhere from 1 to 10 years,
Wow.
or more. Like I know some producers that have projects trying to put together for decades, but on average, most of the things are usually around 5-ish years or so. But you have responsibilities forever. I mean, they're like your children. Like you can't just put them on a shelf and that's it, or else like they need to have a life and you need to keep putting them out there. That's the point of making them. So I think I just happenstance fell into filmmaking. But once I got into it, and I was always kind of like a secret writer, like I would write and put things away and not share it. And I did a lot of things kind of in private and didn't really feel, I don't know why, either the confidence or like anyone really cared, or, like, why should I be the one to be able to do this, to put my work out there? And so I think this just like during COVID, being alone and feeling very alone, but also like I really thought my career might be kind of over because it was really hard to like get things made during COVID. And I didn't see like the industry's changing so much. I was very concerned about, am I going to be able to do this? So I thought, you know what, if I'm going to do it, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out on my terms. I'm going to swing for the fences. I'm going to do a Hail Mary, and I'm just going to make a movie. And I'm going to take everything that I've learned, 15 years of working with filmmakers, and apply it to this film so that I could make it in the way that I did.
So tell everybody about the film, You and I.
Yeah, it's a small, intimate, character-driven film by design. It's primarily what we would call a two-hander, which is most of the film is myself as Sarah and my co-star, Clayne Crawford as Joseph. And it's about two people that have known each other for a long time. And when they were younger, in their like mid-20s, there's a little bit of an age gap between them, but they're mid-20s to he was early 30s. They had like this very deep, passionate love for each other. And it's just some people meet and that they're supposed to be in your lives. And so, but for whatever reason, no spoilers, in their youth it didn't work out. So here they are in their midlife. My character Sarah has built a life in New York City. She comes back home and happenstance to run into Joseph, who is now separated. He's a single father, separated, and they kind of spend the weekend together hashing out what did happen, what didn't happen. But I don't want to say hashing out, just more like being honest and vulnerable and explaining it, because I didn't want anyone to be a villain. I mean, to me, the only villain in this movie is time. And it's more about like the kismet and people either crossing paths at the right time or not. So that's what it was. It was inspired by this classic film called Splendor in the Grass. It's a movie with Warren Beatty and Natalie Wood, and it's my favorite film. And I rewatched it during the pandemic, and I thought, you know what? I wonder what would happen if like Bud and Deanie could get together and spend a weekend talking about what happened in their youth and like looking at it through mature adult eyes. Like, would they finally get to have like a moment and kind of like redefine what their past could be by like, just looking at it in a new way. Maybe it could be kind of a healing process for these people. So that's why I created Sarah and Joseph. They're like in my brain adult versions of Bud and Deanie.
Where can people find the film?
It's out online now. Amazon, Google Play, Apple TV, Fandango, and slowly adding like more outlets. So it's out online. Like you can either Google You and I, Summer Shelton, You and I, Summer Shelton, Clayton Crawford. There's a couple of films out there that's been called You and I over the years, but ours is
the best one.
well, ours was made in 2024. I'll put it that way. I don't know about the others. Like I say watch all of them because as independent films, you need to support them all.
Yeah.
So I'll champion all of them.
Okay, good. We have a clip. Let's take a look at it right now.
Grab a drink later?
How many?
3, 2.5.
Going to my parents.
How they doing?
They're doing good. You know, together, making it work.
Still up in Powell?
Yeah, still up and down.
Sure they'll be happy to see you.
Well, of course. You know, one meal's easier than a buffet of guilt.
I know that.
Mm-hmm.
You number the same?
Maybe.
Ends in
911. It's a joke, Joseph. It's a joke.
funny.
Yeah, hasn't changed.
Tell your mama I said hi.
Oh, she'll love it.
What was it like to direct yourself? Is that hard?
No, I mean, I think it was, this was the first thing I'd really directed. So it was most interesting me to I felt like I needed to prepare as much as possible. Like, I feel like you make a film multiple times. You make it in prep, you shoot it, and then you make it again in post. And so for me, preparing to direct, it was a lot of conversations with my wonderful cinematographer and planning out the visual language of the film, thinking about how we wanted to look. And then too, a lot of conversations with my co-star about just tone and maybe some references of how we wanted these people to interact with each other. So I tried to do as much, front load big directing conversations so that when I could be on set and in the moment, because we only we shot this in 14 days.
Wow.
So
in North Carolina?
In Tennessee, in Knoxville.
Okay.
Yeah, we shot it in Knoxville, Tennessee, and in Nashville. There's a small portion of the film. So Southern film, Southern-based actors. Everyone in the film Southern and has Southern roots. So I wanted to make a new kind of Southern film that kind of doesn't use the tropes that people do of the South, but kind of shows the South that I know to be true, which is full of young people that still deal with things of generations. That's why the characters will reference parents or things parents think or whatever without showing them, just to feel their presence. And so it was kind of little ways I could integrate the South.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
What are you working on now? Anything? Or are you taking a break now that this is?
No, I'm not taking a break. I have, as a producer, you always have projects in development. So I've been developing another feature for another director that I love so much, who actually helped me make You and I, Jennifer Gerber. And then she's making a documentary and a feature that we're working on. And then I'm writing. So I always advise people to think about what they're doing next, when they're in post-production of their movie, so that when they're out on festival circuits or when it's out in the world, right now, you would have something to say about what you want to do next. So I made it the goal during post to read books with hopes of adaptations of one. Obviously not
it's too early.
Not Oriental. Yeah, no, it needs to be a bit stronger. But of hopes of adapting a material. So I'm challenging myself to pick a story that has, more storylines, spans a longer period of time, multiple characters, an ensemble type of piece. And even though it's a different genre, it's still, I like to write things about memory, regret, looking back at life and examining, a life from an adult point of view. So this character would be an older man kind of looking back at his life. So.
Well, it sounds like your plan, I'm going to go all in on this thing in case this is my last project.
That's right.
Is false.
Well,
so
it might be.
Good.
I mean, you never know. It's not in the can till it's in the can. But my hope is that this film definitely gave me confidence and just the ability to say, I want to direct. I want to be a director. I have a voice. I have something to say. I feel like I have a specific way that I like to direct films, and a point of view, and a bit observational. And, I don't want to use the word slow, but I don't mind like characters sitting in moments with people and just trying to make it feel as real to life as possible. Sometimes there are awkward moments. Sometimes you can't pronounce a word right. Like these are the
It's
type
like
of
real life.
It's just like real life.
Yeah.
So my hope is whatever I make, no matter how big, how small, is that people could think like, I could relate to this. This felt real. I could connect. I feel this, this felt real to me. And so that was my goal as a director, but also as an actor. I'm like, okay, like, this is my new reel. It's like, someone wants to know if I can act. Well, you pick any 5 minutes of this, 83-minute journey and have at it.
Yeah, that's so funny.
So it was enjoyable, and if anything, it just gave me the confidence to share my voice, and believe that I should share it, and I have talents beyond just what I'm able to do as a producer, and that you shouldn't necessarily put yourself in a box to just do one thing, and to challenge yourself. Like, I'd never edited a film.
Wow.
I didn't know how to use the computer programs. I watched YouTube videos. So I wanted to learn things. I wanted to learn new things. I wanted to challenge myself. And I just wanted to like give myself the opportunity to make a film, which is a luxury. Like, it's a pretty big thing to be able to do. So I'm proud of myself for just grabbing the bull by the horns. And, sometimes you have to make your own dreams come true. So.
Oh, I'm so glad you did. And I hope you come back no matter what you're putting out there.
Yes.
Or if you just like, I don't know, do a Facebook post and want to come talk about
Absolutely.
it. Well, what do you love most about your life right now?
What do I love most about my life right now? I am very grateful that I get to spend time with my parents. I'm a caregiver outside of my role as an artist. And to all the caregivers out in the world, I see you, I feel you. No matter if you think your life is on hold, it might be, but it is being fulfilled by this time that I have. So I'm very grateful that for whatever reason, the stars have dealt me this privilege that I get to have to be able to help my parents and give back the way that they've helped me. But also, when relationship dynamics change as you get older, you also can learn a lot about your parents from a different point of view. So I've been able to have conversations with my, my father, who we're never able to have conversations with growing up. Like, there comes a point where you realize your parents are people.
Yeah.
And they're not just parents. Like, they're just people.
They've done off that pedestal.
Like, you just realize they've done good things. They've done bad things. They've made hard decisions. They've made easy decisions. They've made different decisions than you ever would be a part of. And we've lived very different lives. And so it's interesting just to, so the best part of my day is spending time with them. And every time they still live at the farm I grew up on. I grew up on a very small farm in a town called Westfield, North Carolina, which is outside of Mount Airy, most famous for the Andy Griffith show, Mayberry. So I go visit my childhood home. It's a real place. And when I drive up, the little Scrappy, our little dog's tail wags. And I love getting up in the morning and taking my long walk with him, and just trying to be present. I think a lot of times, a lot of my life I've spent traveling, being on the go, and I'm just trying to like be grounded and grateful in the moments that I have. So, a lot on the outside, like, oh, you're making movies, you do all these, fun things. You were in New York and LA and stuff, and all that is true. And I'm very grateful for that. But also, at the end of the day, I like, it makes me feel good to know I can wake up and cook my parents a big old breakfast and have them start their day like that, the way that they did for me many mornings in my youth. So you want to make everything special, because you don't know when it could be your last memory. And for whatever reason, memories are something I like to explore and write about and make movies about. And so I'm just trying right now in my life to create as many happy memories for my parents, in the last chapters of their life or
Yeah.
in whatever this next journey is for them.
What's the best way that people can follow you and support you and connect with you?
Oh, that would be lovely. So I also learned how to make a website this year.
That's a big year
So
for you.
I made a website.
Wow.
It's called summershelton.com.
Perfect.
So I was able to grab that domain, which I learned what that was. So I grabbed my domain. I was like, ooh, my name's available. Got it. And so summershelton.com. And then I'm also on Instagram at my initials S_D_S. And then the film is at You and I, the movie. And I do a lot of posting there. And so you can always find stuff there too.
Okay,
So,
good. And go find the movie, You and I.
Yeah,
Summer
it's a love
Shelton,
story. It's a little,
2024.
it's a romance. Yes,
I love
yes.
it. Thank you
yes.
so much for being here.
Thank you.
Please come
Thanks for
back
having me.
whenever.
Yes, this is so wonderful. What a wonderful way to start your day is, with good people and
Yeah.
having wonderful, thoughtful conversations. So hopefully I can brighten someone's day and give them 83 minutes of enjoyment and escapism and romance and love.
You have over and over again. Summer Shelton, everyone. We're going to take a break and be right back. Life is difficult. Are you feeling overwhelmed or like you could use a little support for your mental well-being? Visit the Help Hub. It's the most comprehensive and inclusive free online destination for mental health resources, helpful tools, crisis hotlines, and supportive content. Just go to thehelphub.co to find the resources you need when you need them most. Unlike other resource pages, the Help Hub is divided into 16 different categories, ensuring that everyone in every community has access to the resources and support that matches their unique needs. Find the help you're looking for at thehelphub.co. We're back, everybody. We're now going to focus on a topic that touches so many families, Alzheimer's and dementia. Marianne Sciucco is a passionate advocate and guide in this challenging landscape. She's the producer and host of Untangling Alzheimer's and Dementia, a podcast from AlzAuthors, the global community of authors writing about their personal experiences with these conditions. Marianne is here to tell us all about AlzAuthors, the incredible resources they offer, and how they are lighting the way for caregivers and families. So please say hello to Marianne Sciucco. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Good. It's so great to be here. Thanks you for inviting me.
Oh my gosh, thank you for being here. When we book these shows, we don't really look at topic, like it's a variety show. So I love to have two different things. And so many times the conversations sort of overlap. And Summer was talking about her family and caregivers and memories.
I got that.
And then here you are talking about the same thing. So I love when that works out.
Yes.
We have a lot to talk about with your podcast, with all of the things you're doing, but I want to first kind of hear your story and how you got into this work with Alzheimer's and dementia.
Okay. Well, I'm a nurse. I'm a registered nurse. I'm in New York. And it was always my goal since childhood to be a writer. And anybody who's tried that probably knows that, you better keep your day job. It may not work out. So I ended up becoming a nurse. And one of the things I worked in was dementia care. And I seemed to have like a soft spot for people in that situation. So I finally sat down to write a book in early 2000s. And it was called Blue Hydrangeas, an Alzheimer's Love Story. And it was based on a couple that I met in my work. And I quickly learned that trying to market a book like that is very hard. It was a taboo topic, something a lot of people don't want to talk about, although it exists in abundance. So I ended up reaching out to some other authors that I knew who had also written books on this topic. And we decided to come together and work to cross-promote each other's books. And that was in 2015. In 2016, we decided to do a 1-month promotion featuring authors of other books on this topic instead. So we opened it up to other people for a 20-day campaign, and now we're celebrating our 10th anniversary. We have over almost 400 authors in our community.
Congratulations! That's 10 years. Did you think that going into it that it would be we're at this point now?
We never envisioned anything more than this 1 month thing that we were trying to do and not expecting it to ever go anywhere. But the key to the whole thing was that we really liked each other. Even though we didn't know each other, we met online. We don't live near each other. We don't see each other in person. And but we connected and we clicked and we had a common bond and we had a common purpose and mission. So that really kept us going. And then other people joined us along the way, either somebody we reached out to because they seemed like-minded or they loved what we were doing and they wanted to be a part of it.
And when did you start the podcast? You have a great podcast. It's called Untangling Alzheimer's and Dementia. When did that start?
We started the podcast in 2020. November, I believe, was the first episode. So we've been podcasting steadily since then, in different forms. Now we're committed to doing 2 episodes a month, and then occasionally there's a third. So the reason we were doing it weekly, but we had to slow it down because we were getting exhausted. And we're a very small team. Everybody's a volunteer. We have little funds. So it was getting to be a little heavy for us. So we have 2 podcasts a month. The first one in the month is a new author. We bring in 12 new authors a year. We were bringing in 48 or something a year prior, and we started dwindling it down, so we made it a little more exclusive. So we have 1 new author a month, and we interview the new author. And then we have a book club that we do with a company called Aging and Amazing. And we record that book club discussion, and it's kind of like a meet the author event. And then that's the second podcast for the month. So the listeners get to meet, 2 of the authors. They share their story, their dementia journey, caring for a parent or their spouse or whoever it might be. And they get to learn about their books. And then the authors get the opportunity to meet with potential readers.
What and does it come out on like every other, or how do you know the release schedule?
The first and third Tuesdays.
Okay.
It comes out the first and third Tuesday. And now we have we're doing podcast on this year. So we have a special podcast coming out this on Saturday, March 15th, which is a recording of one of our live events, panel discussion. It was on the long haul, the long-term impact of dementia caregiving. So the people in this panel discussion had all cared for someone, mainly a mom or parents, for 10 years or more, which is a very long time to do this.
Yeah. And you said that comes out on Saturday, right?
Coming on Saturday, March 15th.
Okay, good.
Find us on all the podcast platforms. You can find us on our website, AlzAuthors.com. We're on Apple, Spotify, Podchaser, YouTube. We have a YouTube channel as well. So we're easy to find.
Yes, good. What have you learned over this past decade? I'm sure a ton that we can't fit in this little interview, but I can't imagine how your life has changed in the last 10 years.
Yeah, well, you really can meet nice people on the internet and become friends. Contrary to what people would say. Don't trust anybody on the internet.
Yeah.
That wasn't true for us. As I mentioned earlier, when I had published my book, I couldn't really find a good readership because people didn't want to talk about Alzheimer's dementia. There were very few books available at the time. Mine was a novel. I didn't really know any other authors, like personally or in where I live, like in a physical sense, who had written on the topic. So that's how I ended up reaching out to people I didn't know online. And often when I would tell people about what the book was about, they would kind of like want to run away, or they would become tearful because it would remind them that maybe they had someone that they loved and lost to these illnesses. So now, oh my goodness, there are so many books. We have almost 400 authors and over 400 resources in our collection now. We started out, we had there were 5 of us at the beginning. So, and we didn't know if we would even be able to find enough authors who would be willing to, write for us. We weren't famous or anything like that. We were a bunch of, obscure authors. And yet people came forward. And now there are so many people writing on this topic that they come to us. We no longer have to go looking for authors to add to our collection. The authors are coming to us, and people are writing books all the time, and all kinds of different stories. So I think that is really great, because I think it's more something that's more talked about. It's more in the mainstream. I mean, you really can't go through any day without hearing something about Alzheimer's and dementia in the news.
How do you know? Well, I'm sure you do. What are some like statistics? Like, how many people suffer from or have Alzheimer's or dementia? Like, how many people does that affect? Because
About
it does
7.
feel like that.
Yeah, it's about 7 million in the U.S.
Mm.
So over 50 million globally. And how I like to think about it is, it's not a disease or an illness that you go through on your own. It's a family illness. So anyone in your life, anyone who is active in your life or is somebody who cares for you, is going on this journey with you. So now if you take, you double that number, because if everybody has one person, now we are talking about 14 million people. And we know people don't have one person in their life. They may have many people, dozens.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just this ripple effect where all these lives are now impacted because this person has this diagnosis. It doesn't mean they're dying or they're going to die like immediately. It can go on for 10 or even more years, and people can have good years, and there are good times, and people are still able to make memories and to accomplish things, reach goals, learn new things. That's one of the things I learned. I mean, being a nurse, I worked in a hospital, I worked in a nursing home. I saw a lot of people, mainly who were in end-stage dementia. So I think that's the kind of picture that people have.
Yeah.
Is they envision a person who is at the tail end of their disease or at the tail end of their life. But meanwhile, there's many, many years that go on before that. And people, I've met people who have done remarkable things. Although they have dementia, people who have discovered that they were talented artists, talented writers, people who write books and go on national book tours to talk about it. That's amazing. People who I've met people who their solution to the diagnosis was to pack up and take a road trip and take their loved ones, either on a cycling trip or an RV trip across the country, see things and do things that they've always wanted to do and never got around to doing it. Now suddenly it's time, and they go off and they have a grand adventure. A woman who jumped out of an airplane to raise money for dementia, and just so many remarkable things that I don't think a lot of people are even aware when they consider that a person has memory loss or cognitive impairment, that they're able to still live a very, very full and happy life.
What is the future of the treatment? Do you know, like, what does the future of dementia and Alzheimer's look like?
Well, they're trying to develop new medications all the time. So that's a big part of it. And they're also doing a lot of work on the brain to try to find out the mechanisms that cause this, and if it's something that can be prevented earlier in life. Sometimes people have dementia for 20 years or more before they really even exhibit any symptoms. So we don't really know that it's cooking in their brain. So I'm trying to identify that, trying maybe to come up with a vaccine. There's an idea that a vaccine may help to prevent. But I think that there's a lot of different reasons why people have dementia. It could be genetics, it could be lifestyle, it could be a brain injury, it could be an infection, it could be so many different things. So I'm not really sure if they're really going to be able to figure it all out.
I'm going to ask a question that either is going to make me sound really stupid, or maybe I should have Googled this beforehand. But what's the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's? Like, how do people, it's always grouped together. So can you talk a little bit about the naming of it?
So dementia is the umbrella term. That's what they call it. And Alzheimer's is one of the dementias under the umbrella. And it's the most prevalent. It's about 70% of cases are related to Alzheimer's disease, which is a problem with the development of tangles and plaques in the brain. That's basically how that's explained. And then the dementias can be caused by a lot of different things. There could be vascular dementia, where it's the vessels, the blood vessels in the brain are impaired, causing lack of blood flow, causing areas of the brain to kind of die off. And frontotemporal is another one that affects the that region of the brain. There's also Lewy body dementia, which is associated with Parkinson's disease, and many other different types. There's early cognitive impairment. People suffer from that as well. So it could be a lot of other different types related to the cause. So Alzheimer's is the big one, though. That is the more prevalent one.
Okay. I was thinking about as you get older and it's so difficult sometimes to talk to your family members when you see signs of different things. Can you talk about how important it is, or how you as a caregiver, as a family member, to start having those conversations with your family members?
Well, luckily today people are more, I think, open to having a discussion. And you should always have discussions with, elders and parents with their children about what their wishes are for maybe end of life care in the event of an illness. It's always a good idea to have your wishes put out there and have an understanding. But there's what I always say is that everything you need to know about being a caregiver, you need to know it on day one. And most people don't know anything.
Yeah.
So people, especially if you know that there has been some type of dementia in your family history, you might want to learn about it, try to figure out, at least what the early stages are, so you can maybe identify if somebody's exhibiting signs or symptoms. Try to get a diagnosis, try to rule out what it could be. I mean, sometimes people exhibit symptoms of memory loss or dementia, and it's related to something simple like a vitamin deficiency, or it could be depression. It can be a lot of things. So we want to rule out what it is. If we can, we might be able to reverse things. Mm-hmm. And if we can't, you need to have a plan, and you need to have a financial plan as well as like a medical plan. All of that, you need to have paperwork in place. You need to have your power of attorney drawn up, a living will. If you have thoughts on that, that's important to put that in writing. And the healthcare proxy, those are kind of like the main pieces of paperwork that need to be put in place while you can still sign them. Once people are getting to a certain point in dementia, then they're not really able to sign legal papers. So we want to make sure that's in place. So it's really important to be upfront and have discussions. And even, like a lot of the books that we have in our collection, especially some of the novels or even the memoir, you could read a book like that and share it around with your family members and say, I just read this really great book and it opened my eyes to a lot of things. Maybe you would want to read it. It's kind of a conversation starter. The same thing with a movie, a film. There's plenty of films out there to watch together and say, maybe we need to talk about this. The situation that just occurred with Gene Hackman and his wife, my husband and I had a conversation about that on the weekend, and he was like, because we live alone and our daughter is far away, and he said, well, what if something happened to us? Nobody would even know, that his wife died and she was his caregiver, and he had advanced Alzheimer's, and did he even know that his wife died? And he was left alone in the house and he died. And that's what happened, or at least that's what the news reports today. But when you think about it, it's like, wow, that could happen.
Yeah.
That's very realistic. That could happen too, if you're don't have people knocking on your door every day.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Making sure all of your bases are covered.
There's a lot. There's a lot to it. And there's a lot to learn.
Mm-hmm. What is the best way that people can connect with AlzAuthors, support? Like, how do people best connect with you?
The best place is to go to our website, alzauthors.com, AlzAuthors.com. And when you get there, you'll discover our blog. We go back to 2016 with essays written by our authors about their books and their dementia journeys. The podcast is there. You can listen to the podcast. We have free resources so people can download free stuff that we got. We put together with the authors, caregiver tip sheets on a variety of topics. We have compilation booklets that feature just a selection of books on a given topic. So like caring for your mother, you'll find like 15 or 20 books just on that topic. So if that's the only thing you're concerned with, you can just go to that, and you're not going to be, inundated with a lot of things that don't really pertain to your area of interest. we are celebrating our 10th anniversary this year, so we have a lot going on. And one thing we have going on is a giveaway. So it's on our homepage. You can enter the raffle. We're giving away a book collection each month. It's 3 titles, and it'll be on the topic of the winner's choice. So say you're caring for your parents. We have books that are about caring for your parents, 2 parents at a time, which is a thing of its own. But you can like get books that are just on that topic. So it's free, and we welcome everybody to register, sign up, take a chance.
I love a good giveaway. So make sure you go to AlzAuthors.com. Love a good giveaway.
Yeah.
What do you love most about your life right now?
Oh, I'm getting ready to retire. And my husband is retired, so that's good. And our daughter has been, she married a man in the Air Force. He's an Air Force captain. So they've been away for 5 years. And they're coming home this summer, and we are going to relocate so we can be together. And that's what makes me really happy these days. I have 1 child, and I really miss her.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm so excited you get to reconnect. That'll be so fun.
And it'll be in Florida, so it'll be 300 days of sunshine.
Yes. Well, I'm coming to visit. Next time we do this interview, it's at your home.
Okay.
Florida.
My new home.
I'll actually be in Florida next month for a festival.
Good for you. That's great.
Thank you so much for being here, for doing the work that you're doing, for creating the community that you have. I mean, such a wonderful, so needed resource. And I can't thank you enough for doing what you've done.
Thank you. Thank you so much for what you do and for including me.
Of course. Come back anytime. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That's our show, everyone. Thanks for watching. We're going to be back tomorrow with an all-new show. We're making some bad art with Nancy Norbeck, and we've got the author of Death Insured, AJ Tyler, who was supposed to be on a couple months ago, but technical difficulties, he didn't make it to the show. So he'll be here tomorrow, we hope and we think. So go make your day richer. Go make somebody else's day richer. You've made mine by watching this show, and I love you for it. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye-bye.